Hey guys, so this is the PinePhone. It is a Linux smartphone. This is the PinePhone Beta Edition with Convergence package. So it is beta, and it's running Manjaro with Plasma Mobile. So that's Plasma from KDE. It's I guess basically the core of the KDE desktop environment. So this is running Plasma Mobile and Manjaro Linux. So that's what it comes installed with, and you'll see here. All right, so I've got it open. It comes with some manuals and stuff. Nothing too exciting to look at. Here's the phone itself, and let's see. I'm gonna pull it out of the case here, and it looks. I mean, it's plastic. It's not the most exciting design or anything. It's pretty plain, but it looks like a pretty decent smartphone. At first glance, you'd think, hey, this is like a decent Android phone, not like a flagship phone or anything. So this did run. I think it was around $200 or so for this setup, because this actually comes with it's like a little connector hub that has like HDMI output. It has an Ether. Well, I'll show you. It's further underneath the rest. It's inside the box, but underneath that white separator thing. But here we have a red USB-C cable for charging, and in a minute we're going to show you. Oh, and that thing under the tape there is just a SIM card adapter. I'm not putting a SIM card in this today, but we could use that if we were putting one in, I guess. So this thing down here is what I was talking about before. So this is the so it has Ethernet. You could plug Ethernet into this. You can plug. It has USB ports, and it has HDMI output. So you would plug this using the USB-C port into your phone, which is pretty neat. So this basically allows you to turn your phone into basically a desktop. Since it's running Linux, you can kind of treat it as a desktop, and just run. You can run like you can install like regular applications like you would normally install using the package manager. Like it even has like KDE and Live available, which I'm going to show you how I attempted installing it. I didn't actually try to run it because the system's pretty buggy. Now, from what I have seen, people have had better luck with there are a whole bunch of Linux distros you can install on this, and I've heard that people have better luck with some of the other distros, specifically Ubuntu Touch. So I'm going to try installing Ubuntu Touch, but not in this video. That's going to be the next video about this PinePhone. I'm probably going to install Ubuntu Touch on that. You can basically install an OS on your SD card, pop the SD card in, and just boot off of that, which is pretty convenient. I haven't tried it yet, but that's what we're going to try in the next video. So in this video here, I'm actually trying to open the case, and I've never done it before, so I just want to be careful and not break the thing. There's a little tab that's kind of obvious. You're not supposed to pull on the power on the plug like that, but right here in the corner. You pull on it and it feels a little tight, like you shouldn't be applying that much pressure, but it's actually not so bad. But yeah, you're gonna pull, like, it not only pulls the back of the case off, but it pulls it's like the sides. The sides and the back are all connected as one piece, and you pull that whole thing off. So, anyways, this is me spending too much time trying to pull the back cover off, anyway, so. A few notes while we're watching me attempt to do this. So the system was pretty buggy, and it was really unresponsive. You'll see. I'm going to go through everything and show you everything, but it was really unresponsive. Some things just didn't want to launch or display right, and like I would set up icon shortcuts on my desktop, and they would just disappear for no reason. They would. Like I had trouble going through the installer. I wasn't able to input my password correctly when it asked me for an initial password, and it ended up just only taking one character, which was kind of strange. You'll see that. I'll point it out when I get to it. But a lot of stuff was kind of buggy, slow, and unresponsive. Anyways, here we go. I've got this open, and yeah. So there's the battery, and you'll see right above it a little bit. Okay, so there's a little tab. That's not what you pull on to get the battery out. The battery's actually pretty tight. We don't really need to remove it, but we may as well just because we're showing you what's inside here. I ended up, I didn't have a screwdriver right next to me, so I ended up using like the end of a nail clipper to pry it out. But yeah, that thing I'm pointing to, so that, I'm not sure what that is. I guess that's RAM. Yeah, it's labeled 3 gigs of RAM. But the other thing I was just pointing to before that, there's a slot for an SD card and a slot for your SIM card. Also, oh yeah, right here, what I'm pointing to above those, there were little switches, and I'm going to show you. They're labeled here. They're I believe they're, yeah. So they're labeled here. You can turn off your modem and GPS, your Wi-Fi, your microphone, your camera, and your headphones. So you can turn each of those things off with those physical switches on your phone, which is pretty neat. It gives you control over your phone. Not as cool as if this were a totally modular phone, but still, that's kind of nice to have those switches. And yes, what I ended up doing to get this battery out, I actually pried it out. I was a little nervous doing it, but I ended up prying it out. Oh yeah, so that little plastic thing does have to come out because it separates the connectors on the battery from the phone. So if you were to just pull that plastic thing out, you do have to do that before you power the phone on, but that's all you have to do to be able to power the phone on. You don't have to take the battery out like I'm doing here. But you'll notice I'm using some nail clippers just because it was what's available, and they're smooth enough and they're not going to damage it too easily. But you do want to be careful not to damage a battery like this. So, just something to be careful about. And if you're taking it out yourself and you're wondering if it's supposed to be that tight, well, it was that tight for me, and apparently other people say it was tight too. Yes, that's it. Nothing too exciting, like a normal cell phone battery. Yeah, and I'm pointing there to the SD card and SIM card slots. There's 2 slots right there, and you can plug each of those cards in there. And yeah, that's basically it. So now I'm going to put the case back on. And like I was saying before, while I was trying to take the case off, the system's really unresponsive and really buggy. When I tried to launch the camera, it says like the image was terrible at first, and it was all in black and white until I tweaked it or did something to it, so it got some color, but it was still pretty terrible. And when you go into the settings, it says settings not implemented yet. So like, to me, that doesn't sound like beta software. That sounds like not even alpha software. But I guess, when they say beta for the phone, I guess they mean the hardware is beta, not the software that's put on it. That software is like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I had an older version. I believe it did start running a little bit better on me. It was a little bit more responsive and started to work a little bit better. After I had, I put it down and came back a while, and I had it restarted a few times. I'm not sure if it updated itself or what it did. I didn't, verify the version before and after, but I believe it had been nagging me about some updates, and I believe it might have updated itself, and it might be running slightly more stable software now than when I had initially started the phone up. I'm not sure. I can't confirm or deny that right at the moment, but yeah, definitely I'm still not real happy with the software that's on there. I was able to launch a browser and access web pages. I could play a YouTube video. I couldn't quite maximize it correctly, and it was buggy. Like you'll close the application or switch applications, and YouTube keeps playing in the background, which is, I guess that's good if you want to play music, but it's not good if you just expect it to stop like you would on an Android or an iOS phone. The other thing that's kind of annoying, like even when you run this in desktop mode, it actually just when you run it in desktop mode, you would expect to have Windows and have like a desktop environment, but it still runs with the mobile a mobile interface, so every application has to be maximized, and it's still kind of an annoying mobile interface. You do get a keyboard and mouse working, but it's still a mobile interface even when you have it docked. So the other thing worth pointing out, it was kind of nice. It is a real Linux environment, and you do have a real terminal. I was able to run VI and edit Python scripts with a VI and then execute those Python scripts, which was pretty neat. But overall, and here, so this is the first time installation. This is when you first run it, you put in your initial settings. So here I'm setting like my time zone, and I'm going to set up Wi-Fi and stuff. But yeah, ultimately, I still find this OS that's on here to not really be usable. You couldn't use this in production. That would be a terrible idea. I wouldn't trust it to take all my phone calls and to, be able to check emails when you need to and things like that. That said, I have high hopes for installing other operating systems. At the very least, I'm going to try them out. Here you see me. I'm going to pick out my Wi-Fi network. But any case, but yeah, basically, at the very least, I can test out a bunch of different operating systems on it, and it will be something interesting to play with. So, and at best case, so I kind of cut it out where I was typing my password in there. So I put my password in for Wi-Fi and it worked correctly. Notice how the screen kind of jumped up and down there. It's really buggy like that. It just doesn't display right sometimes, and it definitely, when you switch between docked and undocked mode, the screen will randomly sort of just get into a bad state where it's all like pushed to the side. You'll see when we get to that point, but it gets pretty messed up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to reboot the phone for no reason. See there, only one character, and then it finally took my password. That was kind of strange. And here you go, it's booting up. It looks like it's a regular, regular boot screen for Linux. Yeah, well, I do have high hopes for Ubuntu Touch. I'm hoping that's the one I think will work best on here, but we'll never know until we test it all. But I have high hopes for it working with that. It would be kind of neat to have like a mobile device like this that also works as a desktop. I don't really need a device like that right now. I think that's the future. I think mobile convergence, like convergence, just having your mobile device be also be your desktop and just docking it wherever you go. I think that is the future. They have the right idea here. It's just not implemented quite right with this, but this is the future, I believe. Right now I have plenty of devices that pretty much solve all my problems and work for every use case. But if this worked like 100 times better than it does now, I think this would be kind of the way to go. If you had something that actually worked very well and had high specs, and you could use it as a desktop and a mobile system, that would be great. But really, what they did is they took Linux and they turned it into something that just works as a mobile device. Really, I want a mobile device that can run desktop applications in windowed mode and run real applications like the terminal and real text editors, and be able to run like Git commands to like check in code and stuff and do all the normal things you would normally do on a desktop or a workstation. That's what I was kind of hoping for. I was hoping for a mobile device where you can get real work done. You can get real work done on the go and get real work done more efficiently when you have it docked. But that's kind of what I was hoping for. So here we are. I believe I'm just waiting for this thing to start up or figuring out. I think I was, yeah, there we go. There's the KDE logo. And yeah, I think I ended up having to hold the button down for a while at one point. You're going to see I go through, I believe I go through multiple. I definitely rebooted it many times, and I believe I captured a whole bunch of those on this video. So anyways, your battery life is not great on this, but that's not a big deal. Like, I didn't have great expectations for the hardware to be super high end. I think what I was thinking here is that maybe I have to plug it in and charge it. I was not sure of the battery level, and I wasn't sure why it just wasn't starting up, but it does take a while. And you see there it says, hey, it's connected to my Wi-Fi, and here I'm going to try to log in for the first time. So it opens up this ugly gray screen. Depending on your opinion, the fact that it looks like that kind of reminds me of a desktop application. I've never seen something that old looking on a phone. So it kind of actually makes me feel good in a sense, because I'm like, all right, we're running something like a real desktop application. Maybe there's something, maybe this is going to be something good. This is kind of what I want. But it turns out that's not quite the case. So here, you're going to see for a while, I'm basically trying to, figure out what's going on with my password. Here I'm just typing in random things to see what it'll do. I'm just kind of frustrated that it didn't take my password. I believe my password was 123456, or I forget what I set it to. It might have been 1234 or something like that. And then I read somewhere that maybe the default password is 123456. I wasn't sure what to expect here, but you're going to see I mess around with this for a while until I eventually discover, I believe the password was just set to the number 1. So eventually I get it to work. You note here it says updates available. So but when you first start it up, unsurprisingly, there are updates waiting for you. Might be a good idea to if you plan on sticking with the OS it comes with, it might be a good idea to just install those updates early on. So anyways, I put it down, and oh yeah, see how here I picked it up? Notice how the screen is kind of shifted up. Everything is shifted up. That's one of those weird things that just happens with this for no apparent reason, but like the bottom of the screen is like halfway up the screen on the phone. And I believe I cut the video out. I think I had restarted the phone, so I stopped the video while I was rebooting it. And I'm attempting to log in yet again. So now at least the screen is actually, showing up on the entire phone screen. And yeah, there we go. I tried just a single character password and it worked. So I was kind of lucky there, but that was pretty frustrating, and that was kind of a messed up initialization process. So see here, it doesn't quite respond right away. I think that's the home button. It's not because it's unresponsive, it's because I don't know what I'm doing. But that's the home button, and I'm already home. So it's not. What you do is you flip that thing up to get all your apps. And it does have a lot of apps installed. It's not always clear which one is which. I mean, some of them are kind of obvious, like phone and settings and stuff like that. It comes with Telegram, which is, I guess, great. So first thing I'm launching is the terminal. So I just want to see if I can really use it for real work. So let's see. We can, type regular Linux commands. Oh, and you can't hear it because I ripped all the sound out for this video. And there we go. You can do basic things, basic commands. You can't hear any of the sound or anything. Actually, it's not really making sound. It's actually vibrating when I do that. But I basically ripped out the sound for this entire video. I'm just doing a voiceover. Basically, every keystroke you type on that keyboard vibrates, and it's kind of like it's nice. Like I've enjoyed that on other phones like Android and even Apple phones, that sort of tactile feedback or whatever. But on this phone, it's like you can tell it's not just like a subtle vibration. It's like some big stupid motor inside it is turning every time you type a key, and it's kind of annoying. Like I'd like to shut it off, but I haven't bothered to do that yet. And what am I doing here? These are the setting. Yeah, so change the colors for the terminal, I guess. Looks a little bit nicer, easier on the eyes and everything, I think. All right, so here we go. Let's see, what do we want to test next? Oh, that angelfish, that fish icon basically launches a browser. I was not familiar with that browser, first time I've ever seen it, but that's the browser that comes with this system. And so I believe I took a screenshot and I'm trying to see the image. And there we go. The image is showing up. All right, so you can get out of there. What else can we do? Oh, so I'm trying to drag things to the desktop and I'm failing. See, it's not really that... you can try to grab something, it doesn't show you that you're dragging it, and it doesn't show you what you're doing. It is possible to do that, and I eventually got I got icons. I was able to drag them to the desktop, and then they just disappeared. After a while later, it just decided it didn't want to keep them persistent there. All right, so you can launch the phone application. I have no call history or contacts because I don't even have a SIM card in this phone yet, and I'm not going to put one in this phone because it's just not something I'm going to use for production use. I'm not going to use it as my daily phone. And here we go. Here's the browser. So DuckDuckGo by default, so that kind of fits in. They're kind of going for privacy and like, you having control over the system, no spyware. So that makes sense as a choice. They don't want Apple or Google spying on you. So they're not going to make Google the default. So as you can see, that works. You can browse the web with it. Things have been a little clunky and not real responsive, but basically you get a ton of apps. You can browse the web, do a lot of basic things. It's a somewhat functional system, but just it's not really functional enough to be usable. Like you can use this for testing or playing around with. Gets a little frustrating, but that's about it. Here I am trying to drag the icon to the desktop again. No luck with that. So what else are we gonna try? Yeah, I'm trying it again. Oh, and there we go. Look, I was successfully able to drag that icon over. You have to really just hold it and just do it right. It's hard to tell if you're holding the icon correctly or not. And what else are we gonna put on here? So you can launch the clock app. I guess it's another thing to take a look at. And there we go. You could add more clocks if you want, but there it is in New York time. So yeah, we're just browsing the file system with our file manager. Nothing that it's not bad. It works, but you can tap on it and it will open something in some kind of editor, but it's hard to get it to, for example, right click. And you see here I'm just having trouble actually selecting text, or it's selecting when I don't want it to. I'm just trying to scroll and here it just selects the text. So it's hard to like right click and tell it to open in another application. This is a bit of a clunky program. And having to wait for things like this just for something so simple and like core functionality like this is a little frustrating. Okay, so this is actually the app store that I loaded, not the anyways. So there are a few recommended apps, but we're gonna try searching. Notice I hit that menu button, it does nothing. Hit the search button, eventually it brings something up. And we're going to try installing the GIMP. I believe this is going to fail. But that would have been nice if we could get the GIMP running on here. There it is, GNU Image Manipulation Program. And what does that say? Dependency resolution failed. That's pretty terrible. No more info about it, it's just not working. I imagine this might be, you'd probably get some useful output if you tried to install this from the command line. I have not tried that, but I imagine the package manager should work just fine from the command line. I mean, at this point, I would prefer running a desktop system with a touch screen. Just if you could get a touch screen working with a desktop interface, I think that would be better than whatever they have here. I mean, I've been running Linux on the desktop for many, many years, and it works really great. The fact that things are so buggy here is just, I mean, it's terrible. Like even on a Raspberry Pi, like it works. Linux works great on a Raspberry Pi, works great on a regular Intel desktop. For some reason on this, it's not working great. It's not like the hardware here is that strange or weird. It's just that it doesn't have an interface that's built for. It doesn't have a default interface that's just built for touch that well. It just does not work that well. And I don't even think it's that so much of a problem that it can't work with touch. It's that they built a whole new desktop front end, or I'm not even sure which components are different from this between this and the desktop version of Manjaro, but or the desktop version of Plasma KDE. I should really blame this on Plasma, not on Manjaro. But I don't know what they did that's different, but just what they're trying to implement and the way they're trying to display things just does not work very well. And I'm not sure where, what other parts of the system is actually breaking down, but I mean, in general, Linux is pretty good, and I would imagine if they, instead of trying to create a new system that runs, they do more than just changing it to a touch-enabled system. They make applications, full screen or not, and they change the whole interface and the whole, everything that you interact with. So that's all new stuff, and they messed it up. They messed it up enough so that like you would be better off just running, if you could just port the regular desktop system to run on this system, to run on this phone, on this architecture with a touch screen. Just get it to work with a touch screen and you would be much better off. Like I'm actually happy. I actually recently tested out a touch screen with my Raspberry Pi and it works great. If you could get that level of functionality on this, like if you can get that working with a Raspberry Pi, I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to get something working much better with a phone like this. And yeah, if you tweak some things to make it work better in a mobile setting, great. But I don't see how it could be as broken as this is. And not to disparage this system that much, I'm sure they're working hard to make this work well. And I'm sure this phone will work better with other, when I install other platforms. But we'll see how it goes. But any case, and notice that icon for the terminal has moved. Just to point that out. But yeah. So I mean, it is a little disappointing. You can do a lot of things, but in general, the interface is disappointing. Here, I'm going to try placing Kate on the desktop. So notice first time dragging it, just couldn't do it. So this is neither giving me the level of functionality that I would expect from either, like you could have a mobile enabled OS, like you could have Android, or you could have a regular desktop Linux, and it's not really giving me the functionality of either of those things. This is kind of falling short of both of those, even though this is supposed to be giving you a mobile experience like you would get with Android, but with the the greatness of a real Linux desktop. That's kind of what you're what you should expect from this. All right, here I'm testing out Kate. This is one of my favorite text editors. So this works pretty well, but not perfect. So like you could use this for development or whatever work you want to do. So this is not bad. I mean, once you get the application running, it's not bad. So I don't even think it's the ability to run applications and stuff. A lot of the stuff that they ported over, like they just port Kate right over. It's not that big of a deal. It works pretty nicely. Let's see here. We can even change the theme. Look at that. Change the theme of Kate. I can't imagine it looking too much better on a mobile device unless they just had a bigger screen and more resolution or something. But this is pretty decent for a mobile device. They could... but yeah, I honestly, I think the trouble is just with the general system interface, just your desktop environment and the way the way everything, all the extra stuff to switch between apps and everything. It's just kind of not implemented as well as it needs to be. And I understand that it's all beta and all still in testing and everything, and it's not ready for real production use yet. But it is still kind of I was hoping for more. And so, yeah, it's just, continuing to poke around here. So we're going to CD into our desktop. It's a little tedious typing on something like this, but to be honest, it's not really all that much worse than. So here I'm testing out Python to see that I can run it. This is not really all that much worse than using an iPhone or an Android phone. So this is not, using this keyboard is not bad at all. And what's nice is you can just use it directly from the phone. And I have recently installed terminals that you can just run directly, at least on Android, and I have not checked if I can do that on iOS yet. But it's nice being able to run a terminal locally on your system rather than just having to run SSH to a remote system and then getting your shell on the remote system. I'd rather just have your shell on your local system so you can poke around your local system, and then if need be, you could SSH to a remote system. Anyways, there's Python hello world. I'm going to exit the Python interpreter, and now we're going to use VI and actually edit something. I'm going to create a script called test.py. And so the VI editor is not there. So it's Vim, but normally you would expect there to be a link from VI to Vim, at least, coming from Ubuntu systems. I noticed that's not necessarily the case on an Arch system, and Manjaro being, I guess, Arch-based, maybe that's the reason for that. They just don't do it by default because people don't even bother to call it VI. They just say, oh yeah, it's Vim, because that's really what it is. But anyways, here we are running Vim, and it's you got your syntax highlighting. It works how you would expect. It's pretty nice. This is actually a pretty reasonably nice development environment. I write scripts and stuff in Vim, but this is pretty nice to be able to do this on a phone. So yeah, just creating, still basically hello world, just multiple lines. I'm mostly just testing the functionality of VI, that I can yank and put lines and stuff, which works as expected. Nothing too exciting there. So let's try and run this. So you can use tab on the command line like you normally would, and there you go. Prints out the exactly what you would expect. So there we go. That's us running a Python script that we edited using VI. Pretty nice. Nice to be able to do that with your phone. And here we go. Here we're trying it in desktop mode. So this is pretty cool. The phone actually connects up to this hub thing. More than a USB hub, it has Ethernet, and it has Ethernet and a couple USB, more than a couple USB ports. What else? So you could actually, I believe you could plug an additional USB. Oh, so that red cable is actually going for power. So you would power your whole thing through that. So that provides power. And then the hub provides power to your phone. Notice the screen on the phone is just flashing, and you can't even type your password because you can't see that password prompt. But it is displaying your wallpaper on the secondary monitor. So if I pan up here, there's your secondary monitor. It's locked. So here we go. I changed I cut away and cut back. So I changed the camera. Now the screen actually, and there we go. We have the whole thing. I forget if I rebooted it or what to get this working, but yeah, basically the screen, what you see on the monitor there, is a bit distorted, just because anytime I try to record a monitor with a camera, I've never had it not be distorted. Yeah, but I believe I just did. I just launch a yeah, I think I just launched a terminal. So this is me controlling everything through. This is a did I run the terminal app or did I just? I think I switched. I switched to a virtual terminal, like using Alt Control, F1 or F2 or something like that. I believe that's what's going on here. And there's my messy desk down there. All right, and so it looks like I'm rebooting the system now. All right, so nothing to look at yet. So I'm just kind of sitting and waiting. It looks like I guess it looks to be frozen. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is, I believe I'm trying to switch virtual terminals on the, using the keyboard here. You can see in the reflection there that I'm just trying to, get some kind of response out of it, but nothing. All right, so hopefully it comes up cleanly this time. And just waiting. Yeah, I mean, this is almost something I should have cut out of the video, but I guess this, we're 38 minutes into the video already, and this is kind of just, there we go. Look at that. The display is messed up on both the phone screen and the monitor. So yeah, this is kind of a good representation of the types of issues I'm talking about. And look at that. The thing where you would type in your the prompt for your PIN or your password just not quite working. Turn off the monitor, turn it back on. Let's see if this helps. Nope, no good. So I believe this is probably going to mean another reboot. I did eventually get this working. It doesn't work much better, but it is something you can get to work. And look at that. As soon as I unplugged it, it's actually working on at least on the phone's built-in screen. And I still have my icons there. So let's try plugging it back in again. Maybe I didn't need to reboot it at this point. So there we go. Working desktop, able to move my mouse around. It's kind of neat, but it's not, still looks like a mobile environment, and it behaves like it. You would think it would at least know it's docked and that you should have a desktop environment. Oh, and there you go. My icons are missing, but maybe that's just some weird screen glitch. It looked like one of them was like halfway cut off, so I think that's a weird screen glitch with this external monitor attached. So maybe they're not disappearing. And let's see, what am I having an issue with now? So I guess I'm trying to get it to respond to something with the keyboard. And no luck. I can't really do a whole lot. And my screen is acting funny again. All right, there we go. I'm able to actually click on that thing and get the icons to show up again. And I don't know if this is because the cable was loose or what, but what's yeah, that's got to be a loose cable issue. So really glitchy looking screen on the phone, but the monitor is displaying right now. Let's see, there we go. We can click that button and all of our apps, a screen with all our apps will pop up, kind of like an app drawer or whatever. And okay, so we can open up a file manager and let's see how the interface is. All right, so first thing we're going to notice, it's full screen, just like it would be on a phone. Because on a phone, you normally don't run things windowed, and you would just assume that you're going to need your whole screen for any application and just switch between apps. You wouldn't have two apps open side by side, and apparently they don't want you to do that here, even if you're plugged into a monitor like this. So, nothing too exciting. I think what I'm doing here is trying to exit out of this. I think there was no obvious way. Yeah, I think the application doesn't give you an easy way to exit with the mouse. Like if you only use what's on the screen here, there's no exit button or anything. So the only way you're going to be able to get out is so you can't alt tab. They don't have that basic functionality. You can't alt tab to another application. This is just not meant for desktop use. So they couldn't get the mobile interface working properly, and they just don't even, they basically completely removed any desktop functionality. So desktop functionality is removed. Basically, it just does anything that would make this work well as a desktop interface is just removed. But the mobile, the mobile functionality just isn't there yet either. So I had been kind of hoping that if once you dock it, you would be able to run it as like a regular Linux system, and you wouldn't even know you're on a phone, and you'd think you're just on a Raspberry Pi or something, or that it's just, you would be able to treat it like a regular desktop and not worry about anything. But it seems that's not the case. I wish I had panned up a little bit here so you could see. Oh, hey, there we go. I'm panning up right now. All right. So, yeah, I had opened. So I had launched. Using the file manager, it looks like I launched. Opened that script that I was working on before on my desktop, and here we. So this is what it looks like on. On an actual monitor. So, nothing incredibly exciting here, but this is what it looks like. So really, if you wanted to switch applications, you would probably use, I guess you could quit through the file menu here. Other than that, you would have to go to your actual phone screen. You can't rely on what's on the monitor here. You'd probably go to your phone screen and either hit the home button or the menu button or something. So what else? All right, yeah, I think that's me. I think I was failing to actually click on the file menu. And here it's just, yeah, I wish I had panned down to show what I was actually doing there. It looks like we don't have anything displayed there. I think this is another case of me needing to reboot the phone. Or maybe it's rebooting itself. Alright, so I guess more waiting and more waiting to just see what's going on here. Yeah, I think here I'm actually holding the button down. And I'm just gonna like force, there we go, force shut it down. And then we're just gonna boot it right back up again. So yeah, rebooting is the normal thing with this. It's a really flaky, really flaky device. Or I don't know that I would blame the hardware on that, but I would blame, I would call that a software issue. I mean, I could be wrong, but my gut is telling me that's a software issue. And I'm really hoping UB ports, Ubuntu Mobile works much better. So, just waiting a little bit more. Not a whole lot going on. And there we go. We see something. So it's not displaying right at all on the phone screen and not on the, kind of displaying on the monitor. So I unplugged it and I'm trying to log in through here because otherwise I'm not getting, I don't have any way to actually log in. So it's going to log into the phone and then I'm going to, I think, just plug it back in. And any minute here, we're going to have this connected. And there we go. It's starting to boot up. Yeah, so it looks like that required another reboot, which is a little bit messed up. But yeah, we've been rebooting this thing a lot. And here we go. All right, so finally, yeah, I guess I'd cut out the video at this point and cut over to another clip. There we go, reconnecting it. And messed up again. But it connected on the desktop, and we're going to see if it's going to actually respond. So let's see if this actually responds at all. Let's see. I think this is the point where it starts working. All right, so we can click on this on the screen. Let's see here. No such luck. I can click on it on the phone screen, but the icons are showing up a little off to the side, and the screen is sort of jittery. It's a little messed up. Looks like I was able to somehow launch an app that displays on the monitor. So I can hit back, get out of it, and let's see. What can we do with this now? So we can display our apps. It looks like it's kind of working now. I'm going to try just launching a terminal. And what do we want to do with this? Let's try connecting it back up. You can see as soon as we connect that, the phone screen starts glitching and getting all messed up. But it looks like we have a terminal here. So it's in full screen. So, if you like having multiple terminals open and having them side by side, that's you're kind of out of luck there. Unless there's, to be fair, there might be some kind of functionality that allows for this, that maybe some kind of shortcut or something or option. But as far as I can tell, there's nothing. And it's definitely not something obvious right there. And it definitely doesn't do it automatically for you. So yeah, looks like it's taking keyboard input. Everything's working kind of normal. And see, this is something you could actually work with. In those directories, see, if you run normal Linux commands, the directories are laid out like they would be, like you would expect on a normal desktop on Linux. Things are pretty normal. Yeah, so that's pretty much, just kind of poking around, running some basic Unix commands and stuff. We don't have too much more of this video. We have a few more things we're going to look at. So here we are running VI. I think I'm just going to do another demo. So yeah, just printing hello world in VI, running this on the on a docked desktop mode. It doesn't actually change the mode of the phone, as far as I can tell, but it just displays on the screen. But it's displaying like a mobile device displayed on your screen. But anyways, yeah, we can run a basic hello world. Nothing even remotely exciting, but it kind of just shows some of the stuff you can do with it. Here I am. All right, so we're going to try a shell script, I guess. Shouldn't be too... I guess it's just one more thing you can try with this, just to show, basic Linux functionality, like what you would get on a Linux desktop. And it does indeed work. I mean, it's pretty reasonably good. Just, you don't get a real desktop environment. You can't open these in Windows and stuff, but you from the command line, so long as you're okay with one terminal, it's not all that bad. And I mean, one terminal, you can't alt tab to another one. You could probably install like Screen or Tmux or something, but at that point, I mean, there's no real reason to. I mean, what point is the desktop? I mean, it's almost not that useful. You almost like it's the functionality is not that much. It's not that much better than just installing a really slim and trimmed down Linux on the phone, or even having something closer to a Raspberry Pi. But I think I've gone on about those points. I've kind of, I'm beating a dead horse here. So yeah, just looking at the apps. Not sure what else we should really cover with this. I mean, I guess I could just as well have covered. I could have just as well have tried each one of these, and I could swear I had tested I think my camera test was further ahead in the video. But all right, so we launching a browser. again, full screen, DuckDuckGo, not too bad. So it's kind of functional. You don't have a whole lot in terms of settings and stuff. I don't know. It's not. I would prefer to have menus at the top. I mean, I guess I think those would work fine in even a mobile device. I mean, running a full actual desktop that's meant to be run on a desktop system wouldn't be that bad on a mobile device. It's just not as convenient as how mobile devices are normally set up. But rather than dealing with this type of functionality, I think you'd probably be better off just having a mobile device that's or just running a regular desktop that's not even modified to run on a mobile device, and just running that on it, and you'd probably get a more usable system. Anyways, I mean, that wouldn't be ideal either, but better than what we have here. But anyways, yeah, so this is us searching for images and stuff. You can see it displays images just fine. This is pretty reasonably good. But yeah, it's slow, it's clunky, it's not real responsive, but it works. We can browse the web, we can look at images, we can download things, all the normal things you'd kind of expect. Or most of them anyways, so it's pretty reasonably okay. And I think that's interesting. We have the terminal running on our other screen. Anyways, cutting away, this is us playing YouTube. I believe this is after I'm not sure if it updated itself or not. You wouldn't think it would do that by itself. At this point, I recorded this clip a little bit later, and the phone seemed to be working a little bit better. It's a little more responsive and stuff, but still far from perfect. You can change this. You can change the orientation, but it's still not quite displaying right. Like it doesn't, it doesn't stretch out to fill the screen. This is not how it would look on like an Android or iOS device. You can't max out the. You can't maximize the video. And that's mostly yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is a picture of the camera. I didn't actually record myself working with the camera, but I took some pictures. So this is a picture of the camera, of the settings for the camera, and you'll notice right at the top here it says settings aren't functional yet. So basically you can't change any settings for the camera. So there's a serious lack of functionality there. Now let's take a look at this next one right here. So you're gonna notice that so this is the first picture I took with it, and it basically came out in black and white. It's kind of shaded like this bluish sort of color, but it's basically there are no colors in it. It's all like monochrome. Now if you look at this, I took almost the same picture. In this one you can see there are colors. It's a little washed out and faded, but you can see the camera's actually working and taking pictures in color. There's like a messy keyboard on my desk, and some headphones and stuff, but it comes out better than the first picture. At least you can see colors, but it's still not looking great. And now if you look at this last picture, this is just me taking a picture of some stuff on the wall. You can kind of see my reflection as I'm taking it. Or actually, I think that's the wall behind me. I'm using the front-facing camera, so I'm taking like a selfie pic of myself while I'm holding while I'm actually holding my iPhone, taking a picture of the PinePhone. So the PinePhone is taking a picture of me taking a picture of it with my iPhone. But that's the last picture. So that's pretty much it. That's the last thing I wanted to show you with this phone. So that's pretty much it. Hopefully you found this video at least interesting, gives you an idea of what to expect with the PinePhone. But we are going to be coming out with more videos. I very much want to try I want to try getting at least Ubuntu installed on this. I think it's going to run a whole lot better. Nothing against Manjaro. I think that's an extremely popular distro on the desktop these days, and I'm sure it works great. A lot of people swear by it. I mean, I've been using Ubuntu for many years, and I still kind of believe in like Debian-based systems being more stable, even though Manjaro isn't as unstable as Arch, and Arch isn't as bad as its reputation makes it out to be. But even still, I kind of just believe in the whole Debian-based system, and I'm kind of happy with Ubuntu on the desktop. And it's been working great on the desktop, and I'm sure Manjaro works great on the desktop. It just isn't quite working that well on this phone, together with the Plasma desktop, which is funny. I'm running Plasma, or I'm running a full KDE desktop on my actual PC desktop, and it works great, just not on this phone. So that's pretty much it. We have a lot of other great content on this channel too, and we do a huge variety of tech related videos, and you really might want to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell icon so you get an alert when we come out with new videos. We cover a lot of things: Linux, servers, hardware, software, databases, middleware, coding, Python, Java, all sorts of different things. PC hardware, server hardware, web servers, but basically everything tech related. So if that's the kind of thing you're into, you might want to subscribe, and you're probably going to want to give us a thumbs up. And if you have any comments, leave those down below. Any questions, anything you want to say, I try to get to them all eventually. I try to at least read them all, and when I can, reply. But yeah, we do want to know what you think, so leave a comment down below. And that's pretty much it for today. So thank you for watching, and we will see you guys next time.